No, this is such a bad take. Just aside from everything else, do not listen to this. Be more diva. I am so mad that you felt the need to come onto this forum. A medical condition and then double down. No, silly. You're through to 1-800-DRAMA, the show where you share your biggest dilemmas and I help you navigate them. I'm Shaaba, and with your help,
and sometimes mine,
let's help people figure out if they are the drama, because sometimes you just need an outside perspective and we can all expand our own mindsets along the way. Are you ready to dive deep into the a-holes? Let's go. Hi Peaches, it's Shaaba, welcome back and thank you for clicking on another episode. It's Monday and you know what that means. It's time for us to go fishing for a-holes. But before we do, a big thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video and for keeping me safe online, especially with the recent politics and new laws introduced. If you don't already know, Surfshark is a VPN, a virtual private network with over 3,000 servers all around the world working really hard to keep you safe, whilst also helping you unlock all sorts of things. Fun things like lower prices, but also important things like bypassing geolocked sites. And Surfshark also unlocks content libraries from all around the world, which means you can watch your favorite TV shows and movies no matter where you are. I watched a really good movie recently. It was called Weapons. Have you seen it yet? Sit down, let me tell you all about it. Don't worry, there's not really spoilers. So there's this class at school, and one day at 2:17 in the morning, all of the kids bar one from that class ran out of their houses and didn't come back. What happened? Who took them? Nobody knows. Was it the class teacher, as most people suspect? She is looking pretty suspicious and she did used to be a massive con artist, so you know, there's that. Or was it the head teacher who was just out for a run? Maybe the kids were running because they were being chased by men with cameras. I'm not going to tell you, but what I can say is that the cops figured it out really quickly with the help of Surfshark, of course. Surfshark can bypass geolocked sites and so could access the true villain's blog that was set to one specific zip code where they wrote all about their evil shenanigans. Pfft, dummy. And Surfshark also saved Paul the officer's life by encrypting his personal data, which prevented evil people from using it for evil things, like death in the movie, but in real life that's things like data and identity theft, and that stuff is not fictitious. Surfshark is very, very handy. And so Surfshark saved the day and also gave all the residents of Maybrook, including you, Juicy Peach, watching this video, this QR code and this link, surfshark.com/Shaaba, so that you too can stay connected and safe on an unlimited number of devices. Or you can also use the code Shaaba at checkout and you'll get 4 months extra free of Surfshark VPN. I'll leave you to watch the movie to see just how accurate my account was, and remember that you can and absolutely should be checking out Surfshark. All of the details are downstairs in the description box. And remember, if you don't like it, Surfshark also has a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is no risk and no drama here at all. Alright, shall we get on with the show? Drama. Alright, so this week's episode has a bit of a theme. It's wedding related because Jamie and I just celebrated our 3-year anniversary. So let's see if we can help some matrimonial peaches out. Is that the right word? I think that's the right word. Let's go. Am I the drama for bringing my own food to a wedding? This does sound dramatic, to be fair. It depends on the setup, but I often can't see this going down well. Let's see. Opie says, I am a 36-year-old woman and I went to my college friend's wedding last weekend. I was really excited for it. She's a good friend and I wanted to celebrate. The issue is that I have a medical condition. That means that I can't eat certain common ingredients like gluten and dairy. It's not a fad diet or a preference. I get very sick if I eat them. That is a different thing. I wonder if maybe Opie's brought like some backup food just in case, but I'd really hope that in today's day and age especially, catering companies should be able to cater for non-gluten and non-dairy. Maybe they're not using a caterer. Let's see. I mentioned this, says OP, on the RSVP card where I asked about dietary restrictions. The bride told me that the venue couldn't guarantee anything gluten or dairy free because of cross-contamination, but she'd hoped that I could, quote, make do with salad and fruit. I don't have dietary restrictions, but I do know that it's a really common trope amongst people who do that are like, oh, joy, a tomato. Oh, another stuffed bell pepper. It really is a shame, especially if you're paying like a decent amount for wedding catering, which anything with a W, wedding price tag, is gonna be like pricier. Yay, capitalism. I maintain it really shouldn't be that difficult to be able to cater for a gluten or dairy-free diet. I have like an aunt in my life who is gluten intolerant and she always says a crumb is as bad as a slice. She is Scottish, just in case you couldn't tell from my absolutely terrible butchering of that accent. So I do understand the need to be really careful, and I also, do I understand? Yes, do I understand? I was thinking, do I understand how companies and caterers have to cover their back to be like, we will try, but you know, if a crumb goes across, we can't be responsible for that. But I'm like, I know, you're here to provide food in a professional manner, so Jury's out. What do you think? Am I being too harsh? I just think that for somebody who can't eat gluten and dairy, there is so much more than you can give. You can be a bit more creative than salad and fruit, you know? OP continues, I didn't want to cause trouble, so I just quietly brought a small container of safe food in my bag. Literally just grilled chicken and rice. See? Grilled chicken and rice. That's a lovely meal. You can put all sorts of marinades on a lovely piece of chicken, and they should have been able to do that for you. I'm sorry that you felt that you needed to do that, like, on the side. OP says, when dinner was served, I discreetly went outside for 5 minutes, bless you, ate it quickly, and then came back in to join everyone. I didn't make a scene, I didn't bring smelly food, and I didn't take anything away from the event. I see you. I see what you did. I agree that I don't think that this seems in any way dramatic. I question, however, and this isn't to call you the drama, it's just to point out whether you needed to do that. I wonder if maybe as part of that conversation with Bride, when she's like, just eat a grape, you could have been like, or I could bring my food. How would you feel about me giving the caterers a Tupperware that they could just pop on a plate, just so that you could have, like, eaten among your friends? You don't deserve to have to, like, hide in a corner outside, potentially in the rain, you know, gobbling down a Tupperware full of your meal when everyone is inside eating it on nice cutlery and stuff. What is it? Not cutlery. Crockery. A plate. You know what I mean. So not the drama, but I would have encouraged you, OP, to have done a little bit more just for yourself, to have spoken up and made sure that you were also being well looked after, because you're a guest at a wedding. Turns out, says OP, that the groom's mother saw me with a container outside and apparently told a bunch of people that I was disrespecting the caterer and making the couple look cheap. This is really silly. If anything, the caterers are disrespecting you by not being able to accommodate some pretty basic needs. Do you know what I mean? Like gluten and dairy. What if someone was gluten intolerant and vegan? Every professional catering company should be able to account for gluten-free and vegan food in more than just a grape kind of way. And as far as making the couple look cheap, I'm not sure how you did that. You were outside whilst everyone else was inside. If they didn't want to push with their caterers to accommodate their guests in a way that would make everyone feel comfortable, that is on them. I have no concept as to how this is linked with money. Anyway, OP continues, at the reception, she confronted me. The groom's mum confronted you? Oh. And she said that I was embarrassing the family and that I should have just eaten beforehand if I had an issue. I explained that I wanted to be there for the full event and I didn't want to faint or get sick. It makes me so sad that you feel you had to say that. I'd be like, do you not think it's rude that you can accommodate me? I'm the guest at a wedding. I need to eat, queen. Like, what do you want me to do? She rolled her eyes and said that I was selfish and that the wedding is about the couple, not about your diet. You know what the stupid thing is? These kinds of people who complain like this are the kinds of people that if they were to receive a single grape on a plate, a piece of broccoli with salt and pepper and been like, there you go, there's your meal, that's your gluten dairy free, they would complain so much. Imagine for a second that this wasn't the groom's mum, but your mum. With that kind of personality, this level of Karenita, imagine how she would be fighting your battle. And I know we say this about a lot of wedding posts, but people have really lost the sense of what a wedding is supposed to mean if they are having a go at a guest for eating gluten-free food because the caterers wouldn't give them any. And the audacity, the absolute audacity to be like, it's about the couple? Exactly. So why are you making a massive fuss about Lady and her Tupperware? Make it make sense. I tell you, some people need to take up knitting. They just have too much time on their hands. What happened from here? OP says, some of our mutual friends also agreed that I made an asshole move and made the couple look bad. These people are not your friends. I don't understand in any world how you made the couple. No, I get it. The penny has just dropped. I was like, how? How do they feel that this makes the couple look bad? It makes the couple look bad because it looks like the couple are not catering and accommodating for your needs. And it looks that way because it is that way. If you invite guests to a wedding over mealtime and say that food is going to be served, it is literally ableist to not provide food that is in line with that person's medical condition. That is why professional catering companies should be able to accommodate different dietary needs. And this is why I'm just not buying it. If other people are thinking it's an asshole move, they're just having a go at you because it's bringing up an issue that should be brought up and one that you should not be getting the blame for. I do maintain that maybe the tiniest bit of accountability, but not the drama, just the accountability could be placed on you for not offering to put the food on a plate. You know, you took it upon yourself to leave the venue and eat outside. At the same time, you are not wrong for doing that because you asked, you made your condition clear and they shut it down and didn't provide any additional accommodation for you. You know, could you have pushed for it? Yeah. Were you the drama for not pushing for it? Absolutely not. And that is my badge, not the drama. And I would really question those mutual friends who seem to be siding with this very kooky groom's mum. OP finishes off by saying, now I'm wondering if I really crossed a line. I didn't want to draw attention, but maybe I should have handled it differently. I said what I said. I don't think you're the drama. Beaches, I'd appreciate your input. Shall we see if other people agree? Weddings are always a funny one on forums because I feel like for some reason sense goes out the window when it comes to wedding celebration, and they're like, no, if the couple want everybody to be wearing morph suits, then they're entitled to do that. It's their wedding. So let's see. Not the drama. You took care of your own needs. That's it. Is it somehow respectful to eat food that would physically harm you? Lol, no. The groom's mum is looking to make trouble where it doesn't exist. Ignore her. I totally agree with this point. Like, seriously, is the groom's mum having a bad time? Was she ticking off some wedding bingo card that was like, oh, must cause drama, must see some form of drama today? Someone else says, if I were the bride, I would carefully take note of mother-in-law's big red flag. Since OP is a friend of the bride, it could be a sign of trouble to come. Yeah, I guess that's true. Maybe she just didn't like you. She was trying to find some way to like pick up you, but then what? Like, why? Why? Even as the groom's mum, like, think about it. Why would you want to ruin your own day by making a fuss and confront someone who is simply trying to accommodate their own needs when your caterers weren't able to do that? And it's not just to ask the question, because, I mean, I don't get it. I would never have done that. I would have been fine with someone eating out of a piece of Tupperware, not causing a fuss, doing it really discreetly. Like, oh my God, could she have been any more considerate? But to then hear that that's because of a dietary issue, a medical condition, and then double down. No, silly. Oh, this is a great question. One commenter has asked, would it also be a problem to take insulin? I swear some of these people need a good thump on the head with Emily post. It's true. If this were any other medical issue, would you be saying the same thing? It's because it's chicken and rice. It's because it's being seen from a privileged lens where they're like, well, I could eat the food. Why couldn't you eat the food? Maybe if Sandra got the shits from her very own coq au vin, she'd be a little more considerate. Not the drama. I think what you did was extremely courteous. You didn't expect anyone to cater or bend over backwards to accommodate you. You quietly took care of your own needs in private so you could be there to celebrate your friend. Anyone that thinks otherwise is honestly ridiculous. The caterer is hired to be there. They're getting paid either way. They don't care if you eat their food or not. It's such a silly thing to even suggest that you're being disrespectful. The groom's mum sounds miserable and needs to get a life. I definitely agree with that latter bit, and I do agree with all of this comment, to be fair, but I do think that sometimes extreme courtesy in this vein isn't always the right thing to do. There's a line, right? There's like people pleasing that is appropriate and kind and the right thing to do within objective society, and then there's people pleasing to a fault. That fault being either you bending over backwards and making life harder for yourself when other people could have done something, or you bending over backwards and making life more difficult for yourself when other people should be doing something. And I really do believe, like, if I were in that position, and what I would have encouraged you to do beforehand would have been to clear it and to be like, hey babe, hey bride, hey queen, I don't want to take up too much of your time and I want to be the least amount of fuss possible. So on your glorious wedding day, instead of serving me an orange slice, would you mind if I just pop this little box to the caterer? You can just stick it on a plate and I can just eat that. And they'd have been like, yeah, sure, fine. Or no, the caterers can't do it, but you can pop it on your plate because maybe there's some rules or regulations about how, because of duty of care laws, caterers can't serve food that isn't their own. Fine. But you deserved to be able to sit at your seat with cutlery, eating your food, not standing outside in potentially the rain. Totally reasonable, not the drama. Don't apologize for medical conditions. I so totally agree. Do not apologize for medical conditions. And that's where my, like pushing is coming from. It's not at all to say that you are wrong for doing what you did, but you deserve to take up that space. I see it so much when it comes to disability or even things like mental health and neurodivergency. Take up that space, my love. You deserve to say what you need in order to function in a world that isn't designed with you in mind. Be more diva. That is my advice. Alright, am I the drama for wanting to go to my friend's wedding? How could that possibly make you the drama? What is with these intriguing titles? This is really getting me into the wedding mood now. Any of my friends watching, please hurry up and get married so I can go to your wedding. Thank you. In short, says OP, I'm in the military. I met the friend in question at basic. I imagine that's like a military term that I'm just going to assume means work. And we ended up at the same duty station. Been friends since 2018-19 timeline. Okay, that's what, 6-7 years? Cool. He recently sent me and my wife an invitation to attend his wedding in a few months. The problem is my wife is expecting later that year. At the time of the wedding, she will be 8 months pregnant. Congratulations. It is not recommended for her to travel during this time, much less fly. Okay, so is the wedding super far away? I'm assuming maybe this is the case. I figured I'd still be able to go and support my friend on his big day and come back no problem. But boy, was I naive, says OP. My wife is having none of it. She says that if the roles were reversed, she wouldn't go without me. Oh, interesting. Let's read on. She is saying that we should send a gift and simply explain that she is with Bebe and cannot attend and that I don't want to leave her, etc, etc. I tried to compromise by making it a single day trip, but still no. You mean a single day trip for you? Like you would go and come back in the same day? Okay, instead of staying overnight, I imagine, because there's a flight involved. Maybe it's like a domestic flight in the States where you're having to like, boop, boop. I have thoughts. I understand, says OP, but I do want to support my friend by attending, so I'd like some advice. I think this is such a wholesome post. This is the exact kind of thing that these forums are for. And I think for me, I need to first call out my lack of knowledge on pregnancy, because 8 months, that's quite close to the pop date. Do you know what I mean? That balloon is gonna very soon. I'm assuming this is first baby as well, because otherwise that surely would have been mentioned for the idea of, like pregnancy and stuff. And normally with first pregnancies, from my understanding, I may be wrong. Don't just take what I'm saying from the internet. Do your research. I think, however, first time pregnancies can be more timing, questionable, like promiscuous. Due dates can often come a little bit earlier. You don't know. And so when you say 8 months pregnant, if it's like 8 months, 2 weeks pregnant, that could mean that baby's coming any day now. And as I think you've mentioned, you're not allowed to fly 8 months pregnant. So her going is completely out of the question. My issue is, does that mean that you therefore shouldn't go? Because it sounds like this friend is really important to you. And if you can do it in a day, I'm like, oh, well, could it be that bad? Worst case scenario, right, is you're boop on the way to the wedding, or you're at the wedding, and then your wife gives birth and you're like, oh, and maybe you missed the birth. And that would not be okay. I'm sure you want to be there for that. I'm sure she wants you to be there for that. Oh, I don't know. The first story had such conviction, but this one I am really torn between. I need more information. That's going to be my badge. This is a cop out of a badge, babes. I'm just letting you know. I exist because I want to know how risky it would be that you would miss the birth. Assuming you want to be there for the birth, assuming your partner wants you to be there for the birth, you should definitely be there for the birth of your baby. And I'm certain that the groom and their partner would also want you to not risk missing your own kid's birth. I definitely think that they will understand as well, but I also understand that you want to go to support your friend. Maybe I was thinking like, oh, what has the military got to do with it? But it's close, right? It's a sense of closeness. The military is a profession where the camaraderie between colleagues is so much more than most jobs. So I do get it. I really don't think that you're the drama. I think you have nothing but good intentions, and I think you just don't want to let people down, and you want to be there to celebrate both moments. And maybe this is Shaaba's toxic positivity coming out, but isn't it lovely that you have such a gorgeous support network with so many things that you want to celebrate? Like, life is good right now for you, babe. And I love that, but I do see the risk that your wife is posing. Maybe there's a way that you could like live stream into the wedding. I know it doesn't feel the same, and I guess this is maybe more about where the need more information badge comes from. Like, how far away is the wedding? Is it that if your wife paged you and she was having contractions, you would be able to hop on a plane, toot sweet, is that the word? I think that's the phrase, and like wiggle your butt back in time to see a birth, should something like that happen. I do think that if it's risky in the sense that really she could be giving birth any day now, it maybe is best that you don't go. Oh. And there are other ways that you could be involved, like a live stream type of thing, and it doesn't have to be a big deal, right? You don't have to put extra pressure on the people getting married. You could just find one of the other guests and be like, hey babe, do you mind just FaceTiming me and sticking me on the side so I can also be a part of it? That could be really cute. You can send a gift. You could do like a post-wedding like watch through of photos and videos to show that you're really excited to go, and I'm so certain that the couple would understand. Ultimately though, I don't think you're the drama for wanting to go to your friend's wedding, but maybe you shouldn't go. Definitely need some more information, and maybe that's only going to be closer to the time, as to how close that bun is from coming out the oven, getting that little golden crusty top, you know? And also how far away is the event and how quickly can you come back? Should we see what other people have to say? I think we should, because I'm confused about this one. If you go, you would be the drama. All of my babies came early. If you are away and she goes into early labor, you'll be kicking yourself for years to come. Send your regrets with a nice gift and support the mum of your child. Just my I was like, what is 0.02? But that's 2 pence. That's so cute. As well as being cute, I also do think this comment makes a lot of sense. It's one of those sad timing things, but that happens. I maintain, and maybe it's the creator in me, but there are other ways that you can get involved for sure. You are the drama. Oh, preterm labor at 8 months is very common, over 12%. Well, there you go. There's some stats. Again, do check things out. Don't just trust people on the internet. So would you want your life partner, mother of your child, as well as your child, without an advocate and support whilst navigating a life-threatening medical situation? That makes pregnancy sound so scary, but I guess in reality, that's kind of what it is, right? You sound ungrateful for your blessings, says this commenter, and if your friend is truly your friend, he will respect and admire your stance of staying near your wife, who will be mere days away from delivering the child at the time of the wedding. Be present. I think this is like a little bit of tough love. I again maintain that I don't think you're drama, but I do agree with this comment. And this is definitely one of those occasions where the badge is significantly less important than the advice. Oh, somebody asked how far away is the wedding, and OP said, I'm in NC and the wedding is in Tux. So I imagine that means you're in North Carolina and the wedding is in Texas. How far away are those places? The average length of a direct flight is 2 hours 50 minutes. That's just not going to happen, is it? What are the chances? What are the chances that on the day that your friend gets married will also be the day of the birth? It feels really slim, but at the same time, do you want to risk it? I maybe wouldn't. Oh, I feel bad. I wish there was a way to have the cake and eat the cake. The baby cake and the wedding cake. You are the dad already being absent for your baby. Ooh. And Opie actually responded to this and said, lol, it would be a day trip, but I have changed my mind on going. Well, there you go. Peaches, can you think of any other way that somebody would potentially be able to do this? Is there any other compromise? Any way to have both of the cakes? Especially with this kind of response, though, I would feel so mean calling this person the drama. They are clearly not dramatic in the slightest. Not in, like, the bad way, anyway. You should skip the wedding. You'll never forgive yourself if you miss the birth of your child. Weddings are literally about celebrating love. It's not even fun or worth it to go without your significant other. Ooh, I could not disagree more. What? It's not even fun or worth it to go without your significant other. That's like saying that single people cannot go to weddings. Because you're celebrating love, you must also be in love. That is so stupid. Opie's actually said I agree, and this is making me judge ever so slightly. I don't think it's drama still, but like, no, this is such a bad take. Just aside from everything else, do not listen to this. This is very unhealthy level of dependency. You should absolutely be able to enjoy a party, a function, whatever it is, without your partner. Is it often the case that parties are more fun when your partner is there? Yeah, sure. But to be like, oh, it's not worth going without them, silly. So we have it. I feel like the consensus online was calling OP the drama. I do disagree, and I certainly disagree with that last take. I wish you the best of luck, my love, with your new parentship, and also I hope your friend has a lovely wedding. Oh, drama. Am I the drama for outshining in Bunny's The Bride? Oh, this does feel like a bit of a au pair? Beau pair? What is the phrase? What is the thing that means a thing that you don't do? For au pair? OP? What? This does feel like a bit of a, oh my god. Anyway, OP says, I'm 27 and I'm a black African woman. I'm living and working in Germany for a fixed period on secondment. That's such a fancy word, secondment. While here, I've become quite friendly with a colleague, a 6-year-old woman, and she has invited me to her daughter's wedding. I was excited as I've never been to a white wedding. I feel you. I remember my first white wedding and I was like, oh my god, this is so different. I asked, says OP, if there was a dress code or a colour scheme to adhere to since it wasn't specified on the invite, and I was told that the code is dress to impress. Bet. I love this. Oh no, I've just linked the title to what I'm assuming is going to be a cultural issue. This better not be going in the way that I think is going. I'm about to get real mad here. The day of the wedding, says OP. I understand the assignment. I wear my traditional wear, which is really beautiful and obviously not German. This is going the way that I thought. Oh no. The garment is green, so no problem there. I get it. You don't wear white to a wedding, right? That's the thing. You don't wear white to a white person's wedding. In South Asian culture, you don't wear red, or, you know, it depends. I will say though, when there is going to be cultural exchange, it is a good idea to mention something, because otherwise how are people supposed to know? Like, I'm not saying that all wedding invites should be like, you must not wear white, you must not wear a wedding dress as a guest to a wedding. But for our wedding, for example, we had a Mendi day and we encouraged everybody, no matter their race, to wear South Asian outfits if that's what they wanted to do. And we did say, maybe just don't wear red or black, because red is what the bride wears and people are supposed to dress colourful. It's symbolic. It means something. The Mendi is to adorn your life with colour and sweetness and happy things. So do you know what I mean? If there's that kind of thing, do say don't wear white. But this person hasn't worn white. OP is wearing green. That's a gorgeous wedding colour. And as OP says, no problem there, or so I thought. I get a lot of questions and compliments at the wedding, which I genuinely downplay because it's not my day. But of course, you looked amazing. My colleague seems colder than usual, says OP, but I pay it no mind since she is the mother of the bride and could be preoccupied. The bride is downright rude to me. But again, I gave her grace. I congratulated her and I thanked her for including me, and I get a tight in response. Oh no, not the... Especially when you've gone out of your way to go and get dressed up and attend someone's wedding. Rude. Very rude. And because I'm getting the vibes that this is coming from a racial place as well. Ugh, disgusting. OP says, I keep to the edges of the room as the music isn't really my vibe and I'm just observing how European weddings work. I leave around 8 o'clock, so after 5 hours, and I go home before the wedding finishes. That must mean that you felt really uncomfortable. I'm sorry. On Monday, says OP. Oh, so this is after the wedding. At least there wasn't like a big show up at the wedding, like chicken grandma, groom's mum from the first story. Monday, I walked into the office, says OP, to whispers. People acting strangely and more reserved than usual. An office friend pulls me aside and fills me in that the bride's mother, who's your colleague, right, is fuming. My outfit was too extravagant, over the top, and inappropriate. I drew attention from the bride and I commandeered the room. I was rude and disrespectful. She told people all about it, apparently. This is so ridiculous. hang on, whoa, 1 second. I will do it with one caveat. The caveat I will give is if you were wearing an outfit where you were like a literal disco ball. I think if this is happening because you were wearing cultural attire, that is so unbelievably rude. For them to bully you at the wedding, for them to make you feel so uncomfortable, and then the unprofessionalism, is that a word? It's a word now. The unprofessionalism to bitch about it at work? What? I would be fuming. I don't understand why bride's mum is fuming if all I did was wear something that was my culture, but like the level that a guest would wear. If, however, you wore a bridal cultural outfit, something that was like fully adorned with glitter and glam and that was like so over the top, like that you would wear to your own wedding, that would not be okay. But I'm hazarding a guess that's not the case and these people are just hella freaking racist. But it would be good to clarify. Let's read on. I approach mother of the bride, says OP, and I asked to speak, but she says that she has nothing to say to me, especially when she was like dressed to impress. She was the one that gave you. She said that. Those were her words. And then she's acting childish and now she's gone and told everyone in the office some bullshit story and gone like, I'm not going to talk to you. Well, you spoke to everyone else, didn't you? Flippin' heck. Oh. I ask her why she has something to say to everyone else about me but not to me. Good on you. Good on you, girl. And she calls me an insolent child. And we also have to acknowledge that there is an age difference here. The mother of the bride is 60? Yeah, 60. And OP is 27. How patronizing. How rude. In the bin. In the bin. I'm sorry, OP, that you wasted your precious time. You put on this gorgeous garment for you to enjoy and other people are just being so damn rude about it. They don't deserve to see your beauty and your grace. I explain, says OP, to anyone who scolds me that this was my first white people wedding. I specifically asked what to wear and I followed the guidelines. That you did, this is not your fault. Where I'm from, there is no such thing as outshining the bride. Weddings are a fashion show and a chance to wear your best and brightest clothes, right? Because that is what a wedding is. People go so extravagant at weddings as long as you are not dressing as the bride. They told me that this isn't Africa, which is racially coded, yup, and that people here have manners. I'm so mad. I laughed and I told that person to go to hell. I would be doing more than that, my love. I would be reporting them to freaking HR. That is disgusting. So she is now telling people that I lack remorse for my behavior. I'm wondering if I really am the drama. I am so mad that you felt the need to come onto this forum to ask the question if you in any way did something wrong, especially with that response. I would feel so uncomfortable. That is absolutely disgusting. This is not okay. And anybody listening to this is as outraged as I am. That is not okay. Even if that's not what you meant, it's what you said. And you need to acknowledge that the way that you're coming across is hella fucking racist. You can't say this isn't Africa. Here, people have manners. How else do you expect that to be taken? You are dehumanizing someone. You're making them sound like purely because of their race and not their actions, they are inferior. And they are just butthurt and jealous that their outfits were not as glamorous as your own. They wish that they could pull off your garment. They wish they had your beauty and your grace. And you know what? They're really freaking evil and manipulative, because that is a whole load of victimizing, gaslighty, bullshitty behavior to be like, oh, I have nothing to say to you, even though I have something to say to everybody else. Oh, this person shows no remorse for their actions, even though you were just saying, hey, I did what you told me to do, and you said dress to impress. Bitch, you said that. You said that. OP, you fulfilled the brief. I really wish I could see the outfit. That's my only qualm, but I know you're not in the wrong. And do you know how I know? Because even if you did wear a bridal outfit in your culture, even if what you wore was like to that level, which I don't think would have been appropriate, and it's not what you have done either, the response of that, the fact that they're saying this isn't Africa, here we have manners, nothing that you could have worn unless it was a European dress, a white coded dress, would have been okay for their needs. This is disgusting behavior. I'm so mad. I'm so mad on your behalf. You are absolutely not the drama. Have I said that already? If I haven't, this is biggest not the drama ever. Bigger, Maddie, bigger. The mother is at fault here, not only for being a gossip and for giving you bad advice, but also for inviting you to her daughter's wedding. The couple should be inviting people, not the drama. Yeah, I guess that's the case. I didn't even think about that, but maybe it is a little bit weird that you, as the colleague of the mum, has been invited to the daughter's wedding. It depends on the size, it depends on how people do it. In South Asian culture, everybody goes to weddings. I've seen people invited because they have upholstered furniture in someone's house before. It's literally as weak-a-tie as that. I hope he actually said, oh, where I'm from, that's not really out of the ordinary. I assumed she had either a set number of guests or permission from her daughter. I would have assumed the same. And someone else said, we don't do that in Germany. It's super weird, honestly. Were you the only one from work who was invited? Because that would make it even weirder. I mean, I'm wondering if there's a cultural basis to it, because, I mean, I could say we don't do that in the UK, but there are so many different races and cultures in the UK. There's so many different practices. There's so many different budgets of weddings. There's so many different ways to do a wedding. I do find that comment a little bit weird. But OP said, regardless, no, there were 4 of us from work. I was a late invite though. 4 colleagues though. That is a bit unusual for a Western wedding. I'm just thinking about it from my own point of view. I wouldn't have allowed my parents to invite 4 colleagues of their own who I didn't know to my wedding. But then everyone's wedding's different. And again, it's just why ruin the day for yourself and for your daughter by bringing up someone else's dress as an issue? Unless they were like, they had profanities on themselves, unless they were brazenly promoting politics, you know, like offensive politics. I don't understand why someone would have an issue with your cultural garb. They're bloody racist. That's why. Oh my gosh, I sound like my grandpa. But seriously, this is 1,000,000% coming from perhaps an unconscious bias, but a bias for sure. I'm very mad. I was at a hotel in Washington, D.C. when I saw a group of African women dressed as I'd never seen before. They were drop dead gorgeous. My curiosity got the best of me, so I went up to one of the women and complimented her on her dress. See, that's kind. She told me that she was from Nigeria and they were going to a wedding and that's how they typically dressed, and I told her how beautiful they all looked and thanked her for educating me on how her culture attends a wedding. I wish more women had the confidence to wear something so beautiful without getting scorned for taking away from the bride. That's what I'm saying, babe. They're just jealous. These bitches do be jealous. I wish more brides would stop worrying about what their guests wore. Exactly. Someone's freaking hair color, the color of someone's dress, the cultural origins of someone's outfit. Like, seriously, if this is the kind of thing that you are focusing on your wedding, your relationship must be so dull. I'm sorry, that came across as so shady, but I mean it. Gone are the days where I give a shit about stupid, petty party politics like this. Oh my god. We have real problems in the world, and you're just out here being racist when someone's looking hella glam? What is wrong with you? Oh, someone else says, me and my now wife got married a few weeks ago. Congratulations. A few days after, some guests came gossiping to us. Oh my gosh, I didn't know who it was, but what was she wearing? That was so over the top. My wife's response was, oh, I thought it was the most beautiful dress. I loved it. Shut them up so fast, I laughed out loud. Good. Good for you and your wife. May your marriage be blessed and continue with such non-toxic vibes. I mean, we all have a little gossip here and there. I remember going to a wedding and somebody's boobs, whoa, they were so out, like you could see some nipple. And I was like, we had a little comment, you know? But that's not bullying. I would never say something to someone. I would never treat them differently and make them feel so uncomfortable that they leave the wedding early. And I would certainly not be in any kinds of way racist. That is so rude. I am a white lady from the southern United States who got sent to etiquette classes as a child, and outshining the bride is definitely a thing here. But even in a part of the world where that is a known concern, and even assuming that you did quote unquote outshine the bride, the mother of the bride's reaction is incredibly uncalled for. I totally agree with that. She is reacting the way that I would expect someone to react if you showed up in a full-on wedding dress and were the groom's ex-girlfriend and objected during the vows. She is the one that's being unforgivably rude for behaving this way over a simple dress code misunderstanding. And let's make it very clear here, the misunderstanding was on hers. She said dress to impress. If you are going to be so freaking racist that you don't want someone to come in their cultural wear, you either don't invite that person in the first place and you keep your horrible bigoted wedding events to yourself, or you say to them, and the dress code is this, when they ask for the dress code. If she relays the dress code and a guest shows up overdressed, that is her mistake, and she should do everything possible to make that guest feel comfortable and welcome despite her error. Totally agree. Couldn't agree more. I love that. I didn't think I would agree based on the first line of that comment, but there we go. And that's my bio showing, and I'm grown up enough to admit that. I wish Mother of Bride could do the same. Exactly. They said dress to impress. You understood the assignment. They failed. Big fat F. I laugh at your comment because I am Southeast Asian and we literally jingle and make noise as we walk because our outfits are so blinged out. My sister married a South Asian man and her outfit was so shiny, she looked like a chandelier, and a very glorious chandelier, I imagine too. I too felt like a chandelier. And you know what? If somebody came to my wedding day, regardless whether it was the day that we wore South Asian or the day that I wore a white dress that was really quite plain, and they were wearing outfits that jingled, it would be the last thing on my mind to think I'd be having way too much for myself, number one. And I would be appreciating the beauty that they are providing. Like, how gorgeous is it that someone feels that they can bring their cultural elements to celebrate and that you can learn from it and immerse yourself in something new and different and often colourful. Like, seriously, I just don't understand the basis. Do you understand? Like the logical basic core of what is so offensive of a different pattern or a different colour or something that jingles. Make it make sense, please. Oh, drama. All right, now that I have decompressed, our final submission today is from a fellow Peach. If you are listening to this episode and you too would like to submit a drama for consideration on the podcast, or for this gorgeous Peach community to just be able to help you out and give you advice, you should head over to the subreddit. It's r/1800drama. Please go forth and either post your own drama or just go and comment on other people's. Help them out a little bit. It makes me feel really happy to see, because we can't get through every submission on this podcast and it means that Peaches is still being helped out. So yay. All right, let's see if we can help this Peach out who asks, would I be the drama? Love that. Hasn't happened yet. For making a wedding rule to target my grandma. Whoa. I'm not gonna lie, Peach, from first glance, sounds like you might be, but let's see. Hi all, hi Peach. I recently proposed to my partner, and before we make wedding plans, I wanted to see if I'd be the drama about something. I'm so grateful that there's like a space that you feel that you can come to. My family is from the US, and over the past several years, my grandma has fallen down the right-wing rabbit hole. Oh, one of those. I hear you. At 90 years old, she is now an anti-vaxxer and is refusing to take the new COVID boosters as they come out, and says that she regrets the ones that she already had. When I tried to talk to her about it, she gets loud and offensive and started spitting out the typical Fox News-esque talking points. Ouch. My question is, says Peach, would I be the drama for setting a rule that anybody who wants to come to our wedding needs to be fully up to date with their COVID and, depending on the season, flu shot? Oh, I see two possible outcomes, says Peach. One, she refuses, doesn't come, and it strains our relationship. Or two, she caves, she gets the vaccines and is healthier for it. What do you all think? Thank you in advance. I'm having to sit with this one because I can see that you have really good intentions, but if I'm being really honest, my gut is saying that you're the drama. And I think it's because, and I say this with love, I understand where you're coming from, and this is definitely a thought that would cross my mind if somebody I knew was an anti-vax like that and you really desperately wanted them to just be protected. But a large part of me giving that badge is coming down to the fact that I think there's probably going to be more than the two possible outcomes that you think of that could cause infinitely more problems for you in the long run. And they kind of fall into two buckets. The first is, who else is going to be like taken out of that equation? You may be thinking this is for your grandma, but there are other people that will get trapped in this little fishnet who I'm sure you want to come to the wedding, and maybe for reasons of cost or, I don't know, medical exemption or whatever it might be. Like it's a very black and white rule. You, for example, mentioned flu shots. I don't have flu shots. I've never had a flu shot in my life, and I don't know if it works differently in the States compared to in the UK, but like we aren't offered flu shots. It would be additional cost to do that, and it's not something that you need to do in order to be safe. So that's like my first bucket, thinking about who else might be unfortunately excluded from the wedding because of this black and white rule. I said I just had two, but I actually think I have more. The second issue that I have with this is just not honest. You shouldn't need to come up with a lie, a scheme, a different kind of rule to exclude someone because of their views. I think for me, what I would really be advising you to think about, Peach, and what I would be questioning myself on is this about the vaccination or is this about not wanting the grandma there? Because those are two really different situations, right? It's a bit hard, isn't it? I was going to say, if you don't want to be in an environment that's going to risk things like COVID, which I do totally understand, big events are kind of just naturally risky anyway. But even somebody who does have the vaccine could have COVID. They can still carry. The vaccine doesn't stop them from having or transmitting COVID. It just means that they already have some form of defense in their body. So there's a greater chance that your body will not take it so badly, right? So if the reason for excluding your grandma is because of a COVID fear, it's not actually going to relieve it. It's not going to help to impose this vaccine rule. But if it's just, I have maybe inkling that it could be this one, if it's just you don't like your grandma, you don't want that kind of energy and that vibe there, I totally understand. And this is a point for you to be like, I need to decide what's more important to me. Pissing off my grandma and hurting her feelings, causing the extra drama that will inevitably happen if a grandma is not invited to a wedding, or being in a place that feels really safe to me, which means not having her in it. And it's hard. It's hard, dude. I know this firsthand. There are so many people that we had questions about at our wedding. There were multiple people that we didn't invite, that we had other people push back on and be like, oh, but like if they haven't been kind to us, if they're not accepting of us, and I understand that Jamie and I are particularly different as well, we didn't want them there to celebrate our relationship, because that's what it is. It was celebrating, and Jamie and I just didn't want to feel judged. And yeah, it's horrible and hard to say that, but it's also really powerful because it's laying the boundary for yourself. And at the end of the day, babe, it's your wedding. You have at your wedding who you want to have at your wedding. So that's my second bucket. I feel like if it is for that latter reason, this isn't a good idea, because you should just be honest. And as an additional bucket, another thing that's not sitting right with me with this potential parental plan, I know this is not something that you're doing, it's something you think about. A pitfall to this, in my opinion, is a lack of autonomy. And it sucks, because when you feel like you're a fixer, like I am too, I hard relate, I can see you, and you're just like, oh, I just want you to do something that I really do believe is in your best interest. It can be really hard to try not to intervene, but there is a mantra that took me a while to learn, and it's an important one, and that is stay in your lane. If your grandma doesn't want to take vaccines, she shouldn't be forced to. It is her choice. It's her bodily autonomy. Your body, your choice, right? And I know it gets really tricky because when we say your body, your choice, we're also then opening that up to being like, well, you're then making a community more vulnerable because you're not doing this collective action. And I do think that the nuances here are also biasing me in that situation, which is she is 90 years old. I'm just being realistic. There's something in that whole can't teach an old dog new tricks. I wasn't calling your grandma a dog. It's a saying, it's a phrase. I mean, she's really quite set in her ways, and not only should that be her point of autonomy, but again, I guess feeding back into that second point that I made, it comes down to why you're really wanting to do this. Because I have a feeling that it's probably not to do with not having COVID at the wedding. And if it is, I think it's more to do with the fact that you are feeling threatened and accosted at the risk of her bursting that safe space that you'd other have. You know, the ability to just be around people that you know are good vibes and similar values to you and that you're happy with, and maybe you feel like other things could be brought up. I don't know, I'm making a whole bunch of assumptions. It's just my personal view, and that's something that we definitely have to remember with all of these stories that we discuss. I'm discussing it from my personal lens, which is of course going to be biased from my own point of view. We can all come up with different badges, and it's all useful because I feel like we can really learn and take things away from other people's points. What do you think, other peaches? Would you be able to help this peach out? I'd be really intrigued by seeing your thoughts down below. But yeah, I do think my badge would be the drama for doing this. I wouldn't recommend doing it, and I wish you the best of luck with the rest of your party planning, because I promise you, apart from guest list politics, a lot of it is really damn fun, especially when you keep in mind to do things for yourself and not just for tradition. Let's see what some of the other peaches had to say. It can actually be difficult getting the COVID vaccines in some states. You might find that many others aren't able to get vaccinated, and if you don't want her to come, maybe just don't invite her. It'll probably create as much drama as the vaccine rule. I think that's a really good point. I do think that both of them are going to have drama associated to them, so as difficult as it might be to be like, I don't want grandma there. Imagine how much drama could come up, not just for your grandma, but to all of your other guests, if they're like, oh, arrive at 12 p.m, can't wait to celebrate with you, PS, make sure you've had your shot. It's also a really tricky thing for you to enforce, right? Like, how are you going to ensure that's the case? Do you know if all of your other friends and guests and loved ones who you would want to invite are vaccinated? Would you be asking them to provide like proof of vaccination in some way? All of this to say, there's lots of drama surrounding that situation too. I do very much agree with this comment. I am very pro-vaccines, but they're not for everyone. And I think that it's at a point where people can choose. I guess this is like the point that I was trying to say about autonomy. What are you going to do? Have a bouncer at the door? Checking everyone's vaccine certificates is going to make you look crazier than your grandma. Another peach says, I'm going to be quite frank. Your grandma is 90. She's not going to have many more birthdays, vaccines or not. Do you want her at your wedding or not? You either send the invite or you don't. Don't play games. Don't feed into the drama. It seems that there's like a consensus around the peaches too, and I would probably agree with the comments that are being said. We do have a bit of an edit here. Oh, Peach says, a lot of people seem to think that I'm way further along in the planning than I am. We have no wedding plans yet, let alone minutia like this. Gorgeous word. Minutia? Minutia? Both sound pretty. I know this is an extreme way to approach it. I was more asking out of desperation of how to break through to her about the medical misinformation that she started to believe. I can understand, friend. It is really, really frustrating when you see people just go down these wormholes and not be willing to listen. Sometimes these battles are really worth fighting, and I always think there's no harm in sharing your honest truth about how you feel. You never know, maybe it would question someone to think critically and not to kind of further this cultural divide that we seem to be in. You know, this black and white thinking, this alt-left, alt-right, which at the end of the day is just benefiting capitalism. Like, truly, it's so sad to see. But more to just encourage people to think for themselves and be like, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to ask you, as I would wish to be asked and encouraged, to make sure that things that I'm looking at is true. That I'm doing my due diligence, that I'm thinking critically about the information that I have received, and that I am therefore using all of this to be the best person that I can be. So it's hard. It's really hard. I see your pain. Oh, Peach continues, we want her at the wedding, and we don't want to ruin our relationship with her. The idea isn't meant to be revenge or to push my ideas onto her or whatever. I'm genuinely concerned about her health. At this age, the smallest thing can be devastating. That is true too. And I would hate for her to come to my wedding and for that to be the last thing that she does. Interesting. This is not sort of like the take, I don't know, that I assumed you'd be coming from, but I hear you. You want her to be there and you're just so concerned because I think I even mentioned it myself. Big events are risky. Weddings are a prime place. Like schools, there are just some places that you're gonna pick things up. And if someone is immunocompromised and if their immune systems are weaker, which older people absolutely do have weaker immune systems, then not being vaccinated, I can understand why you'd be nervous. But I I don't think that you should at all ever feel like you need to carry the guilt of what she may or may not take from your wedding. That is not your burden to carry. And at the end of the day, if you've said, hey, grandma, I really think that you should be vaccinated, if she doesn't want to be, that is on her. Or OPH continues for her to get somebody else sick. COVID is incredibly serious, and just one infection can be life-changing. Thank you to everyone who's provided genuine help and advice. Oh wow, yeah, this post seems to have really popped off. I see here that you've got like over 10,000 views. I'm so glad that you've had comments and that people are engaging. I'm really glad that people have given you genuine help and advice. I do think it's really sweet that you're caring for other people and you're just wanting people to be healthy. You're just wanting to minimize risk. But I do maintain that this would be the wrong rule to self-impose, because for all of the other reasons I discussed, I don't think this would have the impact that you think it will. Oh, I wish you the best of luck though, my love. You sound like a really good egg, and I hope you have the most marvelous wedding. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me on today's episode. If you enjoyed it, maybe you want to consider giving it a thumbs up. Maybe you want to hit that little subscribe button. It really does help the podcast out if you do. And if you're listening to this on a podcast platform like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can also give this podcast a rating out of 5. We do read every single comment that comes with the ratings we receive. And Jamie and I are so grateful for your support. Remember as well that Surfshark is there for you. The details are in the description box downstairs. If you haven't already got a VPN and you can afford a VPN, you should really be considering using a VPN. I'll love you and leave you for now, and I will catch you on the next episode. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.